Yeah,
Hey, everybody, it's Jim and Warren. I just caught him off guard by starting the show. You are watching Talking Vintage Vendor Corner, brought to you by Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot. This is show number nine. Yeah, whatever we do tonight, whatever we say is going to be a letdown from last show when Charlie Belcher from Fox 13 was on here. I mean, it's just going to be a letdown. So let's just face it. This show, just yeah, compared to the last one, if you want it, if you didn't see it, you got to check it out. Vendor Corner, show number eight. Yeah, this one's 9. I'm telling them to go back and check out 8. All right, we're going to move on with tonight's show. Like I said, I'm Jim. That's Warren. We're brought to you by Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot. We are vendors here at Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot. We've been in the business for a while, and we're hoping to I can't talk, to share some insight with you guys that are vendors like us at different shops, okay? So that's what the show is all about. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
The show's over?
No, it's not over.
Oh, you said
we're going to
that
go on
was
to
it. Okay.
tonight's topic, answering questions. So I went online to different areas or whatever, and I found questions that vendors were asking other vendors about, and I thought I'd take those questions and then we would discuss them here tonight.
Cool.
Okay, the first question, what do you think about dogs in the shop?
Yeah.
I mean, we allow them here at Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot. I will not lie to you and say that I'm a little apprehensive sometimes. I'm a little apprehensive to have them in the shop because, and this is what everybody else was discussing, because they could break something, okay? But I think most people who bring dogs into places like that understand if their dog breaks something, they're going to be responsible for it. Just like if you had kids and the kids ran rampant, you're responsible for that too. So, and then I worry about them pooing or peeing, you know? And so, but I think again, if you have somebody that does that, if they bring their dog in different places, they're used to that and they know if something happens, they're going to be responsible. So, and here at Decades, if sorry, but if your dog pees or poos on something, destroys the value of it, you're going to have to pay for it. Yeah. So we're animal friendly, you know, but we're not destroy stuff and damage friendly. And then here's another thing somebody said, allergies.
Oh, yeah.
I never thought about that, but to me, I mean, we're almost an open air for most part. The back half of our warehouse is a warehouse and it's open air, and then the front half, which is up there, is air conditioned. I don't know. I mean, you know, you can pretty much go anywhere now, and a dog has been there. I wouldn't think it would be really bad, but I'm not downplaying the fact that could be a concern. Okay, so I mean, here at Decades, yeah, I know I'm talking here. Here at Decades, we are pet friendly, but it is your responsibility. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, number 2. Somebody asked about buying in large lots, okay, versus, you know, going out and shopping every Saturday, going to yard sales and stuff like that. And so, I mean, they both have their ups and downs. Let's just talk about cost. When you buy a large lot, your cost is gonna be lower per item.
Right.
Per item.
Yep.
So, and then if you go out to a yard sale or whatever, or you go to some other place, your cost varies. But I think buying a large lot would make your cost the lowest.
You should.
Yeah, it should, really. I mean, you're not going to pay top dollar for each and every item in there. The second point that they were discussing is that there's a lot to go through if you have large lots. So you got to get through it all. You might find a treasure in there. You might not find a treasure. I like the large lots because I like to find the treasures in there. So, and then I've got stock for a while. I don't have to worry about sourcing it all the time. But I work a lot more than you do.
Sure.
And so you have every weekend to source if you want to. So you can go out there and source. But if, again, the large lot means you have to have the space
Well,
too.
yeah, for sure.
Space.
Storage is one of the
Storage,
big
yeah.
problems,
I mean, you got to have some place to put it while you're going through it and stuff. So they both kind of have their ups and downs. And at the end of the day, it's what kind of value you're getting. If you buy well at yard sales and you equate your time and your travel expenses and all that into it, then, your value might be lower than actually buying large lots. I mean, I've bought large lots before and struggled to get my money back.
Right.
So I'm not getting anything for my time. You know what I mean? I didn't have a lot of travel because they usually come to me, or it's a one pickup deal. So there you go. So large lots versus sourcing all the
Yes,
time.
right.
Yeah. Number 3, who pays for credit card fees? This is a big topic in our industry. I will tell you, at Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot, Decades Reclaimed absorbs the cost of credit card fees. Okay, and I will get into that a little bit later. But I was surprised when I was going through and people had asked the questions, and I read a lot of answers on there, I was surprised at how many places pass it on to the vendor. So here at Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot, we are roughly $1.50 to $2 a square foot. The shop takes 12% of the total sales, and there are no credit card fees. So if you were at a different shop, it would be your $1.50 to $2 a square foot, your 12% fee, and then an additional 3 to 4% of credit card fees. Yep. So that would be at different shops, not here. Okay. So let's see. And then there's a few shops, none that I know of because I never really kind of bumped into it, but there's a few shops, they pass it back to the customer to use a credit card. Okay, so now I'm going to go into how I feel about it. When I started Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot, I was set on, or I had made the decision to accept credit cards. And then I assumed that the fees were mine, because I'm the business owner, I'm accepting credit cards. So if I made that decision, then, it's,
Right,
it's,
your
it's,
choice, right.
yeah, it's my choice. So that's why we absorb it here. I do understand because they've gone up, how some places can pass it back to the vendor, but the vendor can't control whether the customer uses the credit
Right,
card or
right.
not. So, I mean, that seems a little bit unfair. I'm not inclined to do this here at Decades, but I think the fairest thing is to pass it back to the customer. And I know we're gonna get a lot of comments about that.
Phew.
Pass it back to the customer because they're choosing to use a credit card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So they're choosing to use a credit card, so therefore maybe it should be their cost. I don't know.
Yeah.
Decades, because in the beginning I decided I was accepting credit cards as a form of payments to my shop. I absorbed the cost of it. So we're just gonna, and that's where I'm at. But I get it both ways. So all right, moving on to number 4, tags. Oh,
Should we get a sample?
yeah, no tags. Let's not go there. Somebody had commented on one of the forums that their shop had moved to a point of sale system that required them to print tags. Print tags. So they actually had to print them. They had to come to the shop. There was a little area set up with a computer, and they printed the tags. So they were upset about that. And I can kind of see where, if you're using a point of sale system that has barcodes, that's the only way to do it. You have to generate the barcodes generated, and it equates to that tag. And then, so that's yeah. So here at Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot, we do handwritten tags. And I'll tell you, I don't know. I dislike it because, number one, most of my vendors don't follow the rules as far as the size of their tags and the formatting of their tags. And then they use tiny ones. They're hard for us to read. They write on the front and the back. All the information that we needs to be on the front, and we're not getting that sometimes. And then they're writing for themselves, and they don't understand that they're not, they need to be writing for us.
Legible.
Yeah, we need to read it. So Yeah, that's my thing on tags. You know, follow the rules of your shop, whatever it might be. It should be the least of your concerns. But if you're handwriting tags, remember you're writing it for the customer and the person at the counter. You're not writing it for yourself. I mean, look at my writing; it's scribbled, but I'm writing for myself when I put it in the book here. But if I was writing the outline for the show for Warren, I might have to do it differently so that he could read what is actually written there. So, all right, enough about tags. Yeah, we're going to move on. Our last one, and it's probably the biggest one, and this one is asked a ton. How do I sell more? Start off with your selection. If you're not selling, it's either price or selection. Start off by changing what you've got in your booth. Okay. And it's not a number. Moving on, is advertise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about what you're indicating. Advertise. You're your own business, so get out there and advertise. If you've got a booth, name it. Get a Facebook page, put it up on Facebook, put what you got going on, put what the shop has going on there. Share everything you can. Tell all your friends about it. I mean, we have discount cards here that our vendors can hand out, and then rarely do they do it. Rarely do they come up. You do, but you're one of 50. So I can say our vendors don't.
Okay.
Okay, so advertise. Figure out how to do it and advertise. Don't get in the habit of having sales. Here at Decades, we don't allow random sales. We have set sales that we do every year. Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving. We do sales during the year, and each vendor can choose to participate or not participate, but they can't randomly put their booth on sale. We do have our Vendor of the Week sales, and those start in the spring and they go through the summer, where every week you can sign up to have your booth on. But the thing is if you have sales all the time, if you get in the habit of having sales, then people will wait for your sale. So, and I'm against it because when I travel, I go to the same places every year, but only once a year. And I swear to you, the same booths are on sale every single time. And it's just like, okay, and I pass them. I mean, I really do. So don't get in the habit of having sales. Here's a good one. Here's a good suggestion. Pass your savings on to the customer. You get a great deal on something, then give them a great deal too. You can still make money and they're going to be super happy about it. So pass your savings on to customers. I thought that was a really good comment that I read. Yep. Here's another comment. Is section your booth off. And we kind of do that here, or at least a few of our vendors do. Section off meaning like have a shelf and maybe put on the shelf, gifts under $10. That's kind of a cool idea. Or have a sale area or shelf. And Lori does that. Right. One of our vendors here, she does that. She has a whole section of sale items. So that's different ways. Section it off, have a featured area, new arrivals, anything to get the people to look at it. But I do like the $10, under $10 gift section, or a sales section. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the last thing, I think this is the last thing I have as far as how do you sell more. And these are all the classic ones. This was what Warren was doing with his hands before. Shuffle your stuff. Right. Shuffle your booth. You want to sell more, you've got to move stuff around so that people see it. Okay, I would think people go into a booth, they probably make eye contact with a very small percentage of the items that you have. So if you want to sell more, move stuff around and make sure it's clean, your stuff is clean, and your booth is accessible. Yeah. People can get in and out of your booth easy. That'll bring them into the booth where they can visually see more than standing outside because your booth is crammed and packed and they don't feel they can get in there comfortably. So those are the classics, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, I've seen people walk, go by.
Yeah, just go by. So, so that's it. So that's it for our show tonight. We appreciate everybody watching. Jim, that's Warren. You will see us in 2 weeks for show number 10.
Yes.
You can see our other shows on Talking Vintage Vendor Corner right here on YouTube. It's its own playlist. You can see all of our Talking Vintage which is our weekly show that we do for Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot. They're all here. So, and then Warren's jokes. Yeah, we started the shorts because these shows are too long. This one's 14 minutes. No one is going to watch the end of this show. But if you did, we appreciate it. I'm Jim. That's Warren. You've been watching Talking Vintage Vendor Corner. Have a great night.